Right, hello, welcome back to another video. So, what a job this is to be starting on a Friday afternoon. So what this is it's a conveyor off potato wash. So it stands up at an angle like that, and what it does is on the wash, once the potatoes have been separated from all the soil and stones and everything, this is a conveyor that lifts all the stones and soil out. So the problem they were having with it is it's worn at that end, and stones were getting wedged in between the belt and the runners and jamming it up. And also, because this frame that the belt runs on is welded in permanently, when they're putting a new belt in, they're having to get a belt made and then joined. Like, the belt has to have a joiner in it. I'm not sure whether they have the belt vulcanized or whether it just has a joiner in. I'm not sure, but obviously what they're wanting is so it doesn't jam up anymore, and so this middle section comes out, so they can buy an endless belt and then put the belt in and this in at the same time. So the customer, well, it's left up to me. Yeah, it says make a new one or sort this one out. There's a lot of scaly rust on it. I've had a bit of a go with the needle gun already, and it's a bit thin in the bottom down there. It's a bit like rusted away on them corners. So I think what I'm going to do first is strip it down, take these plates out and these retainers off and then belts off, that end off, take everything out that I can, and then assess whether this one is worth repairing or whether I just make a new one. So yeah, I'll chop all them bolts out, take everything out I can, and then we'll go from there. So whoever's put that electrical box on the side has drilled and tapped the holes, and then they've drilled through into that as well, so now that won't come off because that little screw is into there. Right, that's them out. So there's them two bits, and then there's two bits at the end that slot in that way as well with like rubber strips on them. So I'll take them out now and give it a clean up. But it's Friday afternoon, so I think that'll maybe do for today. Right, back to Monday morning again. that soon comes back around. I did a bit of work on my little Daihatsu powered grey Fergie on Saturday. So I made a inlet pipe for the turbo and I altered the angle that the turbo points at. It used to point out this way, so I've had to re-drill and tap some holes and move the wastegate. And I think I'll probably make an aluminium one eventually, but just to get it up and running I've just made a steel one. I'm not really keen on it sticking out at the side of the bonnet, but I did take the turbo off and turn the turbo the other way around, but it stuck too far out, so I put it back to how it was and then just altered that around there. Anyway, back to this. I think I'm going to take it outside and give it a wash now. I'll clear it up with soil inside them and give it a good wash off, and then can have a better look at it. Another one of these axles has come in as well. Same problem as the last one. That was worn out, but this one is worn out as well, so it's going to be a bit more of a trickier job. Right, so I've got it back in the workshop. I've done a bit with a needle gun again. It doesn't clean up too bad. I've done that bit with a bit of metal cleaner and restorer. There's quite a bit of wear on there, and then round there you can see where it's rotting away and stuff like that. So I just rung the customer and spoke to him because I was a bit unsure on whether to carry on cleaning this one up or just to make a new one. And he says this one's lasted 10 years, so if it won't last another 10 years, just make a new one. So that's decided that. So we'll make a new one. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a frame to go in the middle. That needs to be removable. Because I want to put an endless belt in rather than one with a joiner in. So if I make that first, and then I can use that to bolt the sides to get the width right and everything. So yeah, I'll bring some box in and cut some lengths of box to make that bit. So I've got all the bits cut, I can start laying them out now. These are the cross members, and then them shorter ones are the like the sections. Probably would have been easier to have two full length ones, but then it'd have been a lot more welding joining the like the cross sections on. So yeah, I've done them cross sections in one piece, and then the individual sections, the short ones. This is where it'd be handy to have a proper fixture table, but I'm just looking in the catalogue now for a 3 metre 1500 table, 10.5 grand, or 16 grand for a 4 metre 2 metre table. That's crazy money. Right, so we've got these bits tacked together. I've just put that bit of flat bar on the bench as well, and then I can to act as a straight edge to butt each one of them up to. So I tack all them together, and then I'll slide it off the bench a bit and keep adding them onto that end. Right, so that's that all tacked up now. So I think, well, there's some like runners or slides to go on the top of it, but I think I'll weld it all up first, and then I'll put them on after, because the runners, well, they're to go on the outside, and then two about where they are, and then another one on the outside. So yeah, I'll weld down the top first. When I weld across the top, it'll probably bow it, but then when I turn it over and weld on the tops on the other side, hopefully it should pull it back straight again. Then I'll tip it on its side and then weld up all them. So that's all welded up, and I smoothed the welds off on the top for the runners to go on. But I think before I put the runners on, I'm going to cut the plates out that go onto the end that bolt this into the new frame. Alright, so I've got some end plates drawn, got them nested up, so we'll cut them out now. I'm going to engrave like the size of the box onto it, so then when I put them on here, I've got an outline to go off. Just make it easier. I've got an engraver, so I might as well use it. So that's all them cut out, so they just want cleaning up now, and then we can weld them on. I've done the square a little bit offset, so then that'll be welded on flush with the top, and then there's a bit around the bottom to weld round. Right, so that's that all welded up now. I think with these, I'll have to weld nuts on them on the other side, because when the belt's on it, and then when you lift all that into there, you're not going to be able to reach in to put nuts on. So rather than, I didn't fancy tapping all them, so I'll just weld nuts on, I think. That's another thing I could do within the workshop, is a proper nut and bolt rack, because it's a pain in the ass having to go somewhere to buy nut and bolts every time you need some. So if I had a rack with them all in, it'd be a lot better. It's just the like the runners to cut out and weld on now. So I'll bring some steel in and cut them out. And then the end will be to press as well, so they're like that on both ends. Right, so that is that bit done now. They're all welded on. Maybe wants them corners rounding off a little bit, but that's probably the easiest bit done. So now what I've got to do is work out how I'm going to make this. Now this has been made in 3 sections. There's a weld there, so that's been one section, that's been another section, and then there's a weld there. It's been made in 3. And it's been pressed all as one, so this all the way around here up to there is all one piece. And then it's had this bit added on. When you measure that press, well, when you measure all the way around there, it adds up to over 2 meters, or 2 meters, which would mean you'd have to do it out of a 4 meter, 2 meter sheet, which are very expensive and very difficult to handle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 3 meter 1500 sheets. I'm going to press this out of one all the way to there. So I do it in like 2 halves, so it'll be the floor this side and that bit as one, and then it'll be that side to press underneath to overlap as another piece. So I'll be able to do it in 2 bits, 2 sections rather than 3 sections like they've done it. So I'm going to plasma them holes out. That's where them folded bits go with the rubber on. So I'll plasma them out, and I'll also plasma the holes that bit bolts onto. But I'm not going to plasma these holes out, because where the lid goes on, if I don't get it quite right, then the lid's not going to fit. So I'll leave them holes, and then I can sit the lids on, and then I'll just drill them through afterwards. So I think I've got it drawn up, and all the holes, I'll have to double check everything before. Then if that's right, then I'll bring some steel in and we'll plasma that out. Right, so that's that one cut out. I've sliced through them ends as well, make the offcuts a bit smaller. So I think I'll lift this one out and I'll press this one, make sure we're right before I cut the others out. And I can offer it up to this bit and make sure the bolt holes fit. Right, so that is the first bit pressed, and it's a little bit just could have done with being pressed a little bit more, but we'll manage with that. Because there's an end to go in that end, so I can pull it up with the end. When I do the next section, I'll just have to give it a bit more pressing. I think what I'll do now is I'll bolt it onto this, make sure we're right with the holes, and then get a measurement off for how long the next section needs to be. Then with this side, what I'll do is I'll press it the same as this, but I'll only put a short pressing on the bottom. Then it'll, don't know whether to lap it over the bottom or lap it over the top. And it just means I'll have a weld, 2 welds to do all the way down, but I can't do it any other way because, like I say, I can't press all that. Right, so I've got that sat in there. I'm short of bolts. Don't have any bolts. Well, I've got one in that end and one in that end tightened up, and all the others line up. So that's good. So I can use that drawing and just alter it to not have all that on the bottom. I was thinking I could put the press on the inside, but I think I'll put it underneath. I'll put the overlap underneath. Then it's flush. There's no overlap on the inside for anything to catch on. So I'll alter my drawing, plasma another one out, press it, and then put this end together, and then I'll have the other end to draw and work out as well. Right, so I've got that second side bolted on. Well, I've just got 2 bolts in. I've got it clamped underneath. When you measure that side, that is 240. You measure that side, that's 240. So we're right on that. So I'll just have to square it up a little bit and make sure the sides are square with each other. You can see all these holes line up. They line up. They line up. They line up. Got 1 bolt in there. That one lines up as well, so that's good. So I think that'll do for part 1. Otherwise, it's going to end up being a real long video. But yeah, I'm happy with how that's going together so far. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Stick around for part 2, and I'll see you next time.